A 15-year-old girl was asked about her first sexual experience. She replied, "I think my body looked okay. You seemed to enjoy it." Now here's what I want you to understand. Love is the most fulfilling feeling you can ever have on this earth when it's real. Oh God, when it's real. But love in itself is complex. There are many things involved. Sex too is also an incredibly complicated part of life, however natural it may be. It's still easy to associate it with negative emotions, especially shame. From the days of sex education in school, the act is often made to seem embarrassing, taboo, and better left avoided until absolutely necessary. While education regarding sexual health and safety is important for young people and adults, it has a way of fostering feelings of guilt and sexual shame that can last long into adulthood. Whereas pornography can never satisfy the longing for love that we humans experience, our true cravings. When we think about it, we've all wasted years of our lives looking to a computer or a mobile phone to provide something it is not capable of providing. Do you watch porn? Wait, before you rush into self-denial and lie to yourself, I want you to listen to this. Those in the anti-pornography movement are not anti-sex. In fact, we are pro-sex and pro-love. Porn is similar to other super-stimulating things like junk food and video games, in that these things have the potential to desensitize you to normal, natural things and ultimately rob you of the one thing you thought they would give you: the ability to experience pleasure. Now here's where things get tricky. Shame could come from elements of popular culture, like television, movies, books, and social media. In these forms, sex is often portrayed in extremes that can confuse your understanding of your desires. On the one hand, sex may be displayed as fun and passionate, while on the other hand, it may be portrayed as indulgent and wrong. Again, nothing is ever so black and white. Today, people claim that online sexual abuse and harassment are becoming a normal part of their everyday interactions. And while the behavior seemed so common, more than 80% said it was unacceptable for boyfriends to request naked images. Many girls seem cut off from their own sense of pleasure or intimacy. The main marker of a good sexual encounter is only if he enjoyed it. Girls and young women are under a lot of pressure to give boys and men what they want, to become a real-life embodiment of what these boys have watched in porn, adopting exaggerated roles and behaviors and providing their bodies as mere sex aids. Growing up in today's porn culture, girls quickly learn that they are service stations for male gratification and pleasure. When asked, "How do you know a guy likes you?" an 8th grade girl replied, "He still wants to talk to you after you give him oral sex." A male high school student said to a girl, "If you give me head, I'll give you a kiss." Girls are expected to provide sex acts for tokens of affection, and are coached through it by porn-taught boys. A 15-year-old girl said she didn't enjoy sex at all, but that getting it out of the way quickly was the only way her boyfriend would stop pressuring her and watch a movie. 7th grade girls are increasingly seeking help on what to do about requests for naked images. Receiving text messages like, "Send me a picture of your tits," is an almost daily occurrence for many young girls. Then the girl thinks, "How do I say no without hurting his feelings?" Girls are tired of being pressured for images they don't want to send, but they seem resigned to send them anyways, because of how normal this practice has become. Boys then use these images as a form of currency to swap and share with their friends. Many times, these same boys will use these pictures to humiliate girls publicly if there's a bad breakup. 7th grade girls are asking questions about bondage and S&M. Many of them have seen 50 Shades of Grey.
Anastasia.
Christian.
And many of them begin to wonder, if a boy wants to hit me, tie me up and stalk me, does that mean that this boy loves me? Girls are tolerating demeaning and disrespectful behaviors and thereby internalizing pornography's messages about their submissive role. Girls describe being ranked at school on their bodies and are sometimes compared to the bodies of porn stars. They know they can't compete, but that doesn't stop them from thinking that they have to. In the US alone, Requests for genital surgery has tripled in a little over a decade among young women, aged 15 to 24. Girls who don't undergo porn-inspired waxing are often considered ugly, dirty, or gross by boys and by other girls. Some girls suffer physical injury from porn-inspired sexual acts, including anal sex. By now, if you're a Nigerian, you're probably wondering, in Nigeria, impossible. Never. And guess what? You're right. The above scenarios are from a survey on sex carried out in the US on the effects of pornography in high school kids. This is the equivalent of senior secondary schools here in Nigeria. But that's not the point. In Nigeria, things are worse than it appears. But as a result of our culture of shaming, silencing and burying the truth, things are mostly done in the shadows, thereby making all things undocumented, unproven, hidden. In Nigeria today, the consequences of our unhealthy sex cultures are taking scary dimensions. Things have gotten so bad that I have chosen to spare us some embarrassing details. We refuse to openly discuss sex. We are ashamed of our beautiful bodies and our amazing skin tone. We refuse to accept dates. And we turn those who make sexual advances towards us into money bags and ATMs. We allow our sexual preferences be dictated by cash and the availability of luxury. We became infatuated by the things we know we cannot possess and do not need. We raped the idea of self-love and turned it into a shithole for masturbation and self-indulgence. In addition to all this nastiness, we've got sex for marks, sexual predators taking advantage of minors, raping of underage girls and in some cases boys, but no one comes out with the news because of the fear of the stigma attached to it, except in cases where the police accidentally gets involved. And what's more disturbing in the Nigerian case study is that the shame is not attached to the offender, but the victim. Today, healthy sexual exploration is almost impossible. Sexual conquest and domination are untempered by the bonds of respect, intimacy, and authentic human connection. Young people are not learning about intimacy, friendship, and love, but about cruelty and humiliation. It is intimacy and tenderness that so many young people say they are looking for. But how would they find these sensual, slow-burn experiences in a society that is already indoctrinated by hostility, pornography, and savagery? A lot of young men today are ignorant to the language of face-to-face contact, constant arousal, change. Novelty excitement makes them out of sync with slow-developing relationships which build slowly. Most importantly, it's young people themselves demanding change. But remember this. The media is full of ideas and beliefs that are completely opposite of what real relationships, healthy sexuality, and real love are like. Healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. But in porn, it's the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment. Additionally, double standards perpetuate the common trope that men can and should pursue sexual partners while women should not. All of this can contribute to people feeling ashamed to be sexual. But as long as you are comfortable and feel safe, there is nothing wrong with exploring your sexuality, whatever that means to you. So now my question is, what is sexual shame? Where does it come from? And how can it influence your sexuality? The basics of sexual shame. People experience sexual shame in response to many things, including who they feel sexual desire for, who they want to have sex with, the kind of sex they want to have, their sexual thoughts and fantasies, and the ways they see themselves as sexual. Sexual shame refers to all the ways people come to feel that who they are as a sexual being is wrong, broken, or even fundamentally bad. Sexual shame doesn't just come from physical actions. Many people experience this shame whether or not they ever act out their thoughts, feelings, or beliefs. One of the most dangerous parts of sexual shame is how easy it is to believe that the shame originates from within you. For example, someone who likes to watch pornography may feel shame about their desire to do so. They may feel as if that shame is natural, which can steer them from questioning their feelings and cause them to keep their shame private instead of talking about it with others. However, questioning and talking about the things you may feel ashamed of is the key to walking through your feelings and understanding why they are occurring. Where does shame come from? Although having sex is a perfectly natural part of life, feeling shame about your sexual desires and actions is not. Some people consider shame nature's way of telling you what you want or think is wrong. This is a very common way of thinking. In fact, it's an idea that many different traditions, religious and otherwise, encourage people to believe. But there is no simple truth to it. Feeling ashamed for wanting sex could come from external factors. It could come from your family, your cultural and religious traditions, your friends, or your community. Shame is considered a social emotion, as opposed to basic emotions like happy, sad, and mad. It is learned through socialization, all the complexities of interacting with others, and through the transmission of group norms. Some believe that feeling too much pleasure is bad, that some sexual activities are okay but others are not, that not wanting sex is unhealthy, or that being too open about sex is a problem. It's often narrowly defined when in reality, sex is a multifaceted part of life, and there is no one normal way to experience it. You may also be exposed to other messages regarding sexuality that can affect your viewpoint. If you've been exposed to inappropriate sexual behavior in the form of harassment, assault, or physical and emotional abuse, this may impact how you feel about sex. The list goes on and on and on. These messages seep into our brains and our bodies, creating a feeling of shame over something that's completely natural. How does this shame influence our sexuality? The impact of feeling ashamed for wanting sex can take a toll on many aspects of life. Most sex therapists and educators will tell you that one of the biggest obstacles to maintaining sexual health is sexual shame. A high level of sexual shame can place an individual at risk for sexual dysfunction, impaired relationships, and sexual acting out. Shame can keep people from letting others get close to them, and deter some from feeling comfortable in their own bodies. It's also not uncommon for people with sexual shame to project judgment onto others. This can impact someone's ability to find sexual partners that they want, and who accept them for who they are. In this way, shame not only prevents some people from experiencing the possibilities of sexual pleasure, but also the opportunity to feel love, intimacy, and companionship. One of the biggest ways that shame affects people is by rendering them silent. Typically, when you feel ashamed of something, you don't want to talk about it. Instead, it gets hidden away. This can be viewed as compartmentalizing, showing only the parts you think are acceptable and hiding the others. Instead, it's best to be yourself. Try to accept your desires and experiment with your sexuality in a way that's safe and comfortable for both you and your sexual partner. Sadly, we fail to act because of our community, our fears of judgment, our trust and commitment issues. It's endless. Our shame and cravings are pushing the next generation to find sexual fulfillment and gratification online. Maybe you're in a relationship, or you're wondering what's missing in your life, or maybe you're single, or you're pursuing a career trying to come up in the world, so you happily lie to anyone who would listen to you about how happy you are in a non-existent relationship with an imaginary lover, most likely your cell phone. Misleading quotes online would have you say to yourself, "A relationship is not for me. It's too expensive. She'll cheat. He'll cheat. They always cheat. They are all the same." Excuses, excuses, excuses. Excuses that, if not checked, would have you acting out like this guy.
I'm looking for somebody who will marry me, so man or woman, I am equal opportunity lover.
Again, healthy sexual exploration is almost impossible. Sexual conquest and domination are untempered by the bonds of respect, intimacy, and authentic human connection. Young people are not learning about intimacy, friendship, and love, but about cruelty and humiliation. Not everything is black and white. So I guess the next big question now is, what's keeping you from that fulfilling sexual experience that you crave so much? The American pornographic industry generates an estimated $6 to $15 billion annually. Yes, that's how big, oversaturated, and still growing the American porn industry is worth, according to a Forbes report detailing the worth of the American pornographic industry. By now, most of you are wondering, what has this got to do with anything? Let me expatiate further. Popular adult website Pornhub, in a well-documented review of their online traffic reports, has reviewed African women as constituting their biggest market in 2019. Newswatch gathered that the porn site reported an increase in African traffic and a significant increase in traffic from Nigeria, with more women getting on the site especially through their mobile phones. This is coming as a surprise considering that Nigeria's large population are considered religious, and its women population fuel up the numbers more. Pornhub, in its report, further revealed that while most of Africa stuck with classic ebony categories, the bulk of Nigerian women who visited their site in 2019 headed straight to lesbian porn. Although little is known or documented about the cause of this increase, but there are suggestions that it could be because most women are not sexually satisfied with their partners, and instead of cheat, would rather satisfy themselves on their mobile phones. This suggests that more Africans are getting into adult sites in defiance of their cultural, religious, or moral biases, which many have considered to have held them back for a long time with limited pleasure. In 2019 alone, there were over 42 billion visits to Pornhub, which means there was an average of 115 million visits per day. 115 million. That's the equivalent of the populations of Canada, Australia, Poland, and the Netherlands, all visiting in one day. There were over 39 billion searches performed, which is 8.7 billion more searches than last year. Celebrities, trending terms, and characters. If you can think it, someone's already searched for it. And once it has been highlighted as an area of interest, the producers will be notified. In 2019, over 6.83 million new videos were uploaded to Pornhub. Now let's put this into perspective. If you put together all of 2019's new video content together and started watching them way back in 1850, you'll still be watching them today. Their findings also showed that holidays such as Christmas, Easter, and especially New Year's Eve was when they recorded their lowest turnouts, as most clients were caught up in family engagements, with Mondays being the worst day for business because of work. But when it comes to how often couples have sex, science actually has an accurate idea. The average adult gets some action 54 times a year, or about once a week, according to a 2017 study published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior. It is wrong to leave sexual formation in the hands of the global sex industry. We need to do more to help young people stand up against warped notions of sexuality conveyed in the mainstream media. The mission of this expose is solely for the purpose of pro-love and pro-healthy sexuality. This is why we focused on the effects of porn and shame, and how it affects the healthy growth of our culture. Porn is full of ideas and beliefs that are completely opposite of what real relationships, healthy sexuality, and real love are like. Healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. But in porn it's the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment. By being informed and understanding the dynamics of reality and fantasy, we are able to better understand society and build vibrant relationships, regardless of the times we are in. Part 3. So what's your defense? Asexuality and celibacy are not the same, though they are related. Not all asexual people are celibate, and not all celibate people are asexual. Asexuality means that a person does not experience sexual attraction and does not feel a desire to have sex. Celibacy, on the other hand, refers to the abstinence of sex for a specific period or forever. Celibacy can either be a choice or the product of circumstance, while asexuality is not a choice. Asexuality is a sexual orientation and it exists on a continuum. Some people who are asexual do not desire sex at all, while others occasionally experience some desire. Some individuals only want to have sex when they are in a loving and safe relationship, which is known as being demisexual. Some asexual people experience romantic feelings and a desire for a romantic relationship, while others do not. Experts refer to those who do not have this wish as being aromantic. Some asexual people choose to have sex, They may make this decision to please a partner, to conform to societal norms, or because they fear their identity is not valid. There is no evidence that trauma or other mental health issues can cause asexuality. Asexuality is a legitimate sexual orientation that does not require a cure, and people should never pressure another person to have sex. Now, this is what you should take away from this. There is no correct amount of sex to have, and the ideal frequency will vary from person to person. While not having sex for a long time may not have negative side effects, there is no right or wrong way to express sexual feelings, so long as all parties consent. Likewise, no person should feel obligated to have a specific frequency of sex. People who feel concerned about low sexual desire or the effects of sex in a relationship are very guilty of one major carnal sin. They talk about their concerns with everyone: their pastors, doctors, therapists, close friends, pharmacists. That's almost everyone except their spouse or the person they feel sexual desire for. And here lies the beginning of a different problem. Medication, therapy, lifestyle changes, better relationship communication, and many other strategies may help. But in the end, there must be a union of efforts. Sex needs to be embraced and not shamed. We need to accept our sexual nature and polish it, instead of bastardizing and hiding it. Everyone is having sex, or expected to have sex. It is in our nature as human beings to be sexually aware. The YouTube market has long been oversaturated, way before Nigerians were made aware of its potential. Your subscriptions, likes, and comments will go a long way to support what I'm doing. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this by DJ Naughty. Thank you.